All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Whiteboard Brief podcast. Next episode, we've leveled up. Even though I kind of sound a little bit robotic right now, I'll figure that
God.
one out.
I sounded like a chipmunk when I did that.
Yeah, like
Ooh.
your microphone sounds great to me. Mine is just like, it sounds like there's three of me in my head. But new microphones, new setup. We're on video now, so we're going to be posting to YouTube, and then hopefully we get some good clips to put out into the socials for the world to see. But back at it, I think our topic of today is kind of doing the hard thing, and as it relates to, what's going on in the gym with the season changing, with the schedules changing. It's something that we see every year. And someone asked me about this last night. They're like, oh, is there trends in the gym? I was like, 100%. Like, we'll see it every single year. It'll be reoccurring. It's the same things that come up every single time. And it's just a matter of trying to get ahead of it and making sure that we give people what they need at the right time of year to stay consistent all the way through. And it's a number of different things. So I know you brought it up, and it's something that I wanted to get to the people because I know it's been tough. As we come into September and school is back and the weather's getting a little bit colder. What's some of the things that you've seen that have been brought to us with this month of September, just in terms of like overall workouts in the gym and demeanor, enthusiasm,
Yeah, I feel like the enthusiasm's not.
bumps and bruises?
Yeah, like it's just been a little bit lower. Not to say that. I mean, the classes have been smaller-ish. Some days they're big, and then you'd see 20 people signed up, and then there's 3 that show up to class in the morning. So people, dip out last minute. But yeah, I think like smaller classes, especially the past few weeks, which then drops the energy a little bit. Just I feel like overall fatigue when I watch people in workouts. Not to say that they aren't working hard, but you can tell that it just seems like it's like the workouts are hitting people a little bit more
I feel
than
it.
usual.
I did Nancy yesterday, and I modified to front squats because of my shoulder.
Yeah.
It's feeling great now, but I still wanted to give it some rest. It was a minute slower than
That's
when
not
I
bad.
did it with overhead squats in July.
Well,
It was wild to me.
I was so excited to have that programmed again,
Yeah.
and then I'm surprised nobody showed up for it. They weren't excited. And I had people back in July ask
Yeah.
to do it again because it was so humid.
Yeah.
And then I saw the classes. And I'm like, oh, okay. Nobody, guess nobody cared. But I did look at some other, I saw a little bit of some afternoon time. So it was good to see some people were tracking it. And even if you aren't even close, again, we've been doing a lot of running, but not a lot of overhead squat. And I don't think people were prepared for that. Because I think you could tell the people that have never done it before, because I think they weren't expecting their legs to be that fatigued. But
Yeah, I felt that a lot yesterday, definitely in the workout. But I do think that there's a lot of excitement coming up for the back squat cycle that's coming up for the next 12 weeks. So nothing better than when the air gets a little bit crisp just to lean into some heavy lifting in the gym. So that's going to be really cool. But in terms of, what's going to be the biggest thing to help our members, help people that might be listening to this that, could be experiencing the same thing, because I know I experience it. Sometimes my workouts will feel a little bit sluggish, a little bit slow this time of year. It's just different. Like the weather is different. The days are different. It's just different. And you have to bob and weave with what happens externally in the environment. You can't control it. And, now that I look back on it, it happens every year. Like it's the same thing happens every year. We're going to come into time change too in November.
oh,
It's
that
the whole
throws it
slew
off.
of things. But something that helps me is kind of the accountability aspect of it. It's like, I know, number one, I'm leading by example in here. So making sure that I'm doing the thing. And it was actually pretty cool. I had a lot of people come up to me yesterday afternoon and they asked me what was going on because they saw that I modified the workout.
Yeah.
And they were like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I feel really good. I don't want to push it. Typical CrossFitter mindset. I ignored it for 2 weeks and I was like, I'll be fine. It's not going to hurt. And then, eventually last week I was like, you know what? I'm just going to tone it down. Like, I'll get my intensity in other spaces of the workout, but I'm going to let my shoulder relax. And it's felt the best that it's ever felt. Leaning into the movements that have hurt in the past, but at a very low resistance, and then just modifying my workouts accordingly. And me and Lindsay are actually doing the same workouts together, so that she feels like she's got a buddy and I got a buddy.
I like that.
For the shoulder workouts.
I think it's when you're modifying or even scaling a workout, I feel like you feel like you're going to miss that intensity of the workout. So like it's almost, people feel like it's harder to feel the thing that, or the intended stimulus or the intended intensity of the workout. So it's very easy to get FOMO. But like front squats with that workout, like you're gonna feel the same. Like your legs are gonna feel heavy. Even if you had done like moderately heavy deadlifts yesterday, you probably would have felt something very similar. Or even if you had done, say, like 30 or 40 air squat every round, like you're still going to be able to feel the thing. So, I mean, it's leaning into what you're able to do in that moment and, like, just be ready to, like, kick ass. Because I think it sucks because you're like, you look forward to a workout and you're like, well, I can't do the overhead squat. Or even if you can't run, but, like, you still are able to give 100% effort, and that shouldn't change. Like if you came in, you're planning on only doing 60% effort for the overhead squats. Like why carry that over? If you need to modify it, you can still do 100%. Why not do that?
Yeah, I think this is where people start to go down the rabbit hole if bumps and bruises start to arise, because they look at modification as like a subtraction. And what they'll do is look at the workout, look at the things that they might have trouble doing or they can't do right now, and then they'll make that movement easier per se, but then they'll keep everything else the same. And when people actually do ask me for modifications and, you know, they come in and before the class even starts, they make me aware of something and I can have a chance to think about it.
Yeah.
Like, if you ask the people that have done that with me in my classes, the workout's usually harder.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not expecting it whatsoever. And that's what you have to do, or at least that's the way that I look at it when I'm nursing some sort of an injury, or I don't want to say injury, some sort of a bump and bruise, because they come along the journey of what we do, is not only look at the area where you need to take something down a notch to let the part of your body rest and relax and heal up, but what are the other areas where you can make up some of that intensity and push it a little bit harder?
100%.
And I think people miss that piece of it a lot, and then they come in and they start modifying and they feel like their workouts are a little bit less than maybe they've had when they were feeling 100%, and then they start to go down the rabbit hole of, I'm not doing the thing that's going to keep me fit. And that's a tough thing to deal with, because I felt it before too. It's like 100%. If I doing elevated push-ups yesterday, had I done that and then I was like, oh, my shoulder hurts, so I'm going to do a 15-pound dumbbell because that's the one that feels good, and yada, 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 the lunges would have sucked. The clean and jerks would have been lame. But, like, I still did a heavy dumbbell, and I did all 10 on one arm, the good arm.
Yeah.
And then the push-ups were minuscule. They felt fine, but that heavier dumbbell really translated to the lunges. And I got a pretty decent dose of intensity out of that workout.
Good. I think that we have a few people in here that have gone through some surgeries or some setbacks with, like, injuries, and they've showed a really good example of you still can improve your fitness regardless of having to scale and modify workouts. Like, we have multiple people that we could show as an example that prove that you're going to still stay fit. Because you're still getting closer to your goals by doing the thing. Because what's the alternative? Nothing. And that's going to set you back even further.
Yeah.
So it's better to just come in and do something than to just sit at home.
Yeah.
And that's where, again, your fitness is going to go back.
Yeah.
And we don't want that.
No. And I think the next stage of that is that's 100% right. But when you do come in and you do something, talk to us. Like, that's what we're here. Like, let's help you. Let's get that accountability piece in there, and let's give you your challenging workout for the day so that you feel rewarded, you feel good, you feel energized, and you feel like you got something done.
Yeah.
Because there's a number of different ways that we can do that. And, if you're new to this whole thing, I'll tell you right now, we're not like other gyms. Like, you don't just have to come in and do the thing every day, and when you can't do it, or you're shit out of luck. Like, that's not how it works. So come in, talk to us, and just know that you're not the only one going through it, too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everybody's dealing with this season change, and it happens every year.
Yeah.
It's something that's totally normal. So, be a part of it and keep that train rolling. As hard as it may seem in that very moment, like, we got you. And there's ways to continue to push that thing.
Yeah, I think the sun is rising so much later. And granted, I don't know when it is because the doors are always shut. But, like, I think it's harder for people to get out of bed.
Yeah.
But even the same thing, I feel like people are wanting, like, I would rather have somebody come in if they were a little bit tired and just do something.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause again, like keeping the routine is going to be beneficial. Now, if you're like me and you got 3 hours of sleep last night, it's weighing the pros and cons of like, are you going to be okay? Like, what's your next day look like? You want to think ahead, but still come in and keep the routine. Even if you're doing, again, it's a just move day and it's all body weight, or you come in and you go on a machine, but you're keeping that routine because it's very easy to fall off track. And like yesterday, somebody came in, they hadn't been in 2 weeks, and they first came in and they were like, I just want to be on the bike today. And I'm like, okay, well, do you want to warm up with us? Yes. Went through the warm up. So like, then they're in the specific warm up. Next thing you know, I'm like, do you want to do the workout? And they're like, yeah. I completely changed it. Like, they had a minute rest. They did half the reps. And I'm like, just do something on the bike. And it was what they needed because they were nervous of being sore. And I'm like, let's just move today. And it was good to like meet somebody where they were. But like, I'll do that for every single person. You'll do that for every single person in class if that's what they need. So like, if you're tired, come in. We don't have to move big, heavy weight because if you're half asleep, you don't obviously want to do that. But like, especially in this time of year, keeping a routine is going to be important, but also recovery. So like, make sure you are still getting sleep. If you're not sleeping 4 days in a row, it's not worth it. It's better just to get the sleep. But keeping the routine, coming in regardless of like how your body's feeling. And something I think we can do on our end is really focus on good warm-ups and just making sure, or warm-ups, we can only do so much. We only have so much time in class. But I think people could do a better job of coming in early and just doing joint rotations, getting a band, moving or putting it around their ankles and warming up their hips and their glutes, or getting something to warm up their shoulders. It's like, it's that 5-minute routine that can go that will allow you to go so much farther. And then all of those like bumps and bruises that are bugging you are magically gone.
Yeah. And I think even on top of that too, something that I see all the time is, think of the hour that you're in here as like this extended buildup, continuing until we start to hit, whatever the workout of the day is. And from minute 0 to minute 45, all of the reps that we've done, all of the movement that we've done, all of the loading that we've done is continually, gradually bringing your body up in preparation to bring in some high intensity.
Yep.
Now, the reason why I bring that up is if you've ever been in class and you're like, 10 more reps, practice round, we have to do that. I don't want to waste my good reps. It's like, you have to understand, if you really approach the first 3 quarters of class with that slow buildup and get a lot of reps and get your body moving the way that we want it to, by the time that you get to that workout, I promise you, your performance is not going to go down all that much. But you're going to recover a lot better. You're going to feel a lot better throughout that workout, and you're going to get a better workout because you put your body through the proper preparation that it needs right now, that the weather is colder. Like, it's way easier to warm up when it's 100 degrees out and humid.
Yeah.
It's so much easier. Here, now, it's colder. There's a little bit of a nip. Like, it's tougher to warm up. So make sure that you understand, like, we're not just making you do 3 rounds of 5 burpees arbitrarily because we like to watch it. I mean, kind of.
I put them in the warm-up. They're there.
But, like, it's there for a reason, so that when you start to do rounds of 10 or 20 really, really fast, like, you're not tweaking something and you're not getting a cramp or a knot at some muscle group that's completely unnecessary. Like, understand that that's a big piece of it.
if you can't, so think of it as like, we'll say 10 unbroken pull-ups. If we tell everybody, and there's a workout that has 100 of them, and we're like at the whiteboard, you should be able to do 10 unbroken every single set or more. And then we go, all right, practice around 10 unbroken pull-ups. And if you can't do it, you don't have the capacity to be doing 100 of them because 10 should be a very small percentage of what your capacity is in the next, like whatever the time frame is to get it done.
Yeah.
Same with like literally anything. Same with the load on the bar. Like you have no business going. It's a pet peeve for me to be like, oh, I don't want to waste my reps. Like you have no business doing that. Then take the weight off the bar so that you could do it, or we're gonna modify the reps for the workout. Like it, and I hate to say it sounds blunt, but like. It's a gut check, and it's because we want you guys to not get injured.
Yeah.
Like and you need to be warmed up.
Yeah. And I just had this conversation with Tim yesterday because we had a goal review and we were talking about, building up running capacity and, what's going to move the needle forward. And, a concern of his, like with everybody, is, well, I just don't want to push it so hard that I hurt myself. Mm-hmm. And we got into a really good conversation in understanding that intensity alone is not the thing that causes injury.
Correct.
Intensity in the presence of poor mechanics and continuing to try to move faster and higher intensity rates with the sacrifice of good mechanics on things, that's what causes injury. Yep. So like when you look at it in a big perspective, doing squats faster is not the thing that will cause you to get injured. Doing squats faster where, everything starts to go to crap, your chest starts caving, your elbows start dropping, your knees start going all wacky areas, or you're standing on your toes and you're trying to do that. Yeah. And you're like, oh, cool. Well, I got a really good time today, but then you wondered why, your quads hurt or your knees hurt or something like that. Like that's what causes injury. And when you start to approach your workouts from an intensity standpoint, but still holding good mechanics, and sometimes it's like just slowing down a split second, making sure that you do something right and you have all your checks and balances there. I guarantee by the end of the workout, you're going to be 90+% of your max heart rate. Like you're going to get the same workout. But at the end of the day, you worked your body the way that you should have. And you're not going to get injured doing that. You just won't. Yeah. Anytime an injury occurs is when you start to push past the red area on your RPMs and you just keep throttling it instead of dialing it back a little bit.
I don't know. With bad form.
With bad form.
Because I was like, people can send it. Like, it's tough, too, because, like, I feel like people aren't, and I think I want to encourage people to record themselves more because we're their mirror. We see it, and they don't see what they're doing. So it is important to, like, record yourself because I feel like people will go, oh, I did that faster than I thought, or oh, my arm was locked out overhead. Because I had a conversation with someone today and it was very similar to that, where they're like, oh, I just move so slow. And I go, why? I'm like, why do you move slow? And I go, is it like, are you fatigued, or is it your breath? Or are you just thinking a lot? And they're like, I don't want to get hurt. And I'm like, you are moving well. I would tell you if you weren't. And they actually did great in the workout. They did box jumps for like the first time that were like 20 inches. And I was like, you crushed that.
That's awesome.
But it is tough. And I feel like sometimes you, in order to grow and improve, if that's your goal, you have to make yourself a little uncomfortable. You have to trust your body that you're doing the right thing and try it. And that's with the PR as well. Like, you just have to do it if that's what your intention is or your goal is. Now, you could also get away with never doing that, but you'd have to find ways to, like, build intensity other ways because, again, like, you don't want to plateau.
Yeah.
But if your intention is to get better at something or get stronger, like, sometimes you just have to, or like, you're going to have to go faster. Like, you just have to. But I think people could do a better job, and I think we could express it more, too, of having a conversation with us. But, like, yeah, you gotta go faster.
I think
it's uncomfortable.
I think here's the big difference, and this ties back to what we started talking about too, is like, what's the difference here between other places? And number one is like we're constantly looking at your movement, and from day one we're teaching you how to do these things properly. And when we're coming around and we're saying nice job, it's because it looks good. And if at that point you hear that and we're saying that your mechanics look great, then there's no worries about challenging yourself a little bit in that movement.
Yeah.
And if it starts to break down, we're sure as heck going to be the first people to tell you that, you know, it did break down a little bit and hey, let's pull this back, because we're constantly watching you in class. And I think the number one thing that I see is, you know, when a new person comes into the gym, we do the goal review 30, 60, 90. That first goal review where they come in, they do an in-body scan, we see little changes there, right? Very little bit on muscle mass. It ticks up a little bit, whatever it might be. But usually what people say is they feel better. And that is a result of just coming in and moving on a consistent schedule. And then usually what that conversation is like, hey, likely it's the person that always grabs the training bar and always puts the same weight on the bar regardless of what the movement is. And it looks very much the same all the way through, which is great for learning how to do these things in the beginning.
Yeah.
My conversation to them at that point is usually like, hey, for this next month or two, what I want to do is start to challenge yourself on some of these movements and some of these weights. We're going to tell you if it's breaking down a little bit, but like trust us and ask us our opinion and talk to us before the workout starts, because the more that you challenge yourself in that realm and we start to increase some of these weights on these things that we know look good,
Yeah.
that's where you're going to start to see so many positive benefits in your workout. And sure as hell, like they come back for their 60 and their 90 and we start to see real big changes. Specifically like Audrey that I've been working one-on-one with. She's been coming to class, but we've been doing the one session a week.
Yeah.
And like it's pulling her out of her comfort zone because I'm doing the things that she needs that she wouldn't normally push herself to do alone. And like the results that she's seen has been amazing. And everything looks good. And she'll ask me for reassurance. Hey, was that okay? Yeah, there was nothing wrong with that. That was great. But that's a big piece of that. And then to also understand, you know, we're here when things get hard. That's what we do. We show you how to do this thing when life starts to change and get at you. Whereas other places, they're like, oh, well, we offer this class at this time and it's going to be the same every day and you're not going to hear from us other than that. And it's like, okay, that's cool. We do that. We have class times. But at the same time, it's like, oh, you're dealing with something. You're stressed with work. You have little sleep. You know, your work schedule changed. Kids are back to school. Kids are out of school. Yeah. Whatever it might be. It's like, dude, we've dealt with a lot of this stuff and we've solved it for a lot of other people. It's like, that's where we help. We show you how to have a healthy lifestyle when otherwise you would quit and not have one. Like, that's the difference maker right there.
Yeah, I've never seen a gym focus on that, because it's all the other gyms, and this is for conventional ones too, you're just a data point, you're just a paycheck or something, and that's completely different here. And everybody here cares. The coaches care, you care, people care about each other, and I think that it's a huge separation, because I think that's people will come in knowing that we have their best intentions in mind. But
And you want to hear a crazy metric that I just saw last night?
Yeah.
So we have about 175 total members between all of our programs.
Nice.
Talking 60 plus legends, moms, private training, group classes, all that stuff. And over 75% of our population has checked in the last 7 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Think about that for a second. Whereas, like, think about how many members are at a Planet Fitness and their business model, which you've heard a million times. Like, they hope that you don't show up.
I went 3 years and paid the money.
If they had
Never showed up.
75+% of their clients show up in the last 7 days,
oh, they would nobody would be able to work out.
There
wouldn't be any
implode.
space. Yeah.
They would implode. So if you generally just want to see the difference in business models and the difference in, you know, care that you're going to get at a place like this, like it's just that metric right there. And, you know, that other 25% is the things that happen throughout life, right? People go off the rails, and that's what we're here for. And we're messaging them, and we're getting a game plan to get them back in here. And I guarantee you those people are not going to be the same people on the list, you know, come the next couple of weeks. Yeah. It's just shit happens, and it starts to turn the wheel, and it's always constantly revolving. But like 75+%, in the last 7 days is wild. That was a really cool metric to see.
It is nice, especially with and it's nice to hear that because like in the beginning of this, we were like, oh, the classes seem smaller, but they're still coming in, even if it's once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Like that's still huge. Like it's good to see that people are still trying to make things a habit, in a routine, because like it. Yeah, I like hearing that. That makes me feel a little bit better.
It's tough sometimes because we see the classes day to day and we're like, oh man, it's like used to this thing being like 20 people, and
yeah.
And then you look back and you see a metric like that, and you're like, oh, well, no, they are still coming in. That's on video, by the way.
Awesome. Oh, it's over there now. What is that? And it's in like talking about like Plant Fitness and stuff. Like I write workouts thinking that there's going to be 25 to 30 people in class, or I make sure that there's a workout from CAP. Similarly, like I'm not going to bank on there being 3 people in class so we could do handstand walks and like all these other things and that I have all this space. Like I purposely make sure that we have the space for a big class. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm so glad that there's so many people not coming in. I'm done write a workout and off of that. Like there's just no way.
That's completely looking past the people that we serve in here. And that's your general other fitness studio is like, well, it doesn't matter what is going on for external factors. Like this is the workout for today. And if you show up, you show up. Mm-hmm. Cool. Like I want to take that even a step further. And what you told me before we even started the podcast, and you're like, wow, you know what? People are pretty tired right now. So like programming next week, like you're already thinking about that. Mm-hmm. And people don't understand that. And it's like, overarching theme, like people are tired and we need to take care of them at a higher level.
Yeah.
Like we're already looking at next week's programming to make sure that people are getting whatever it is that they need in terms of rest and recovery and deload, and pushing it to a point of, that is appropriate so that we can overarching keep supporting everybody in here and make this something that's consistent.
Yeah, because it's not just your body that needs a break. Sometimes it's your brain, too. So to be like, hey, you're just going to do this for 20 minutes. And you're like, oh, sweet. Yeah. And like knowing that you're going to get a good workout and it's going to be super simple, I think can also be beneficial because let's face it, everybody in here they're hardworking people that have like crazy lives outside of here. So it's nice to come in and not feel like you have to ask 8,000 questions because you have to do this, but then there's a minute rest, and then we have to go back to this, and then they're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, they're needed. Those workouts are good every now and then, but, like, sometimes you just need a friggin' break.
Yeah. And if you do have a question, just ask it, because usually when I get a question, I will address the whole room with the answer to that question, because chances are someone else has that same question. So if you ever have the feeling of you are bothering us or something like that, or you're taking away from other people's experience in class and you think that we haven't planned for that, like, please ask whatever question it is that you think is not worthy of our time, because I guarantee you it is 100%.
Yeah, and not to say when I would like, and I want to preface too, or like not really preface, but like when I was talking about questions, like I don't want. I'm sure people would like to not have to ask them.
Of course.
Like super, like, hey, you're gonna run 3 miles today. Okay. The one question probably goes like, oh, where are we running to? That's probably it. Although, like, you would hope. But, and to go back off what you're saying, every question that people ask us, we've heard before. Although I think we've probably had 1 or 2 thrown at us this year that are like, that have been brand new. But for I would say 99% of the time, we've heard the question before. So just ask it.
You could probably look at the workout and tell you what questions are going to get asked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I try when I program something, I'm like, all right, is this going to cause a lot of confusion, or is it going to be a lot of questions? Because especially if you have a class of 25 people, like you're also thinking about the coach. Like, are they going to have time to do all of these things? Are there going to be a lot of questions? And it's good. And if you think that there could be a lot of questions, it's just having that conversation with the coaches and be like, hey, this might be a little confusing. Make sure the coach knows how to explain it correctly. Mm-hmm. Because then, like the workout with the team of 2 and you had the rounds and the buy-in, that can be super confusing.
Of course.
But it's like I made it go, hey, do you understand this? Yes. I'm like, perfect. And then you're like, and I think it ended up going over really well. Mm-hmm. There were the questions that we expected. Mm-hmm. But
also, if you get into it and you screw it up, I've never seen somebody not get a good workout.
Oh, yeah.
Still just, messing it up. We laugh about it. We get you back on track. Like, the important thing is you leave here feeling like you got something done today.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what's super important.
What do you mean, like you screwed it up is explaining, or someone like the person doing the workout screwed it up?
Either one, because they
I
both
was
happen.
like, what have you done that I don't know about?
They both happen.
But yeah, again, you get a workout.
That's
we're
it.
happy.
That's it. All right, one last thing to leave everybody with just the time of year that it is. And here's another thing that people don't understand is they think they're the only ones dealing with something, or like feeling the aches and pains, or feeling tiredness, or feeling like a little bit less motivation to come into the gym. And it's like, we see all 170 plus people and hear the same message from so many of them. It's like, I will tell you right now, you're not the only one. Like, this is why we come on the podcast and we do these things, is because we know that multiple people are dealing with them, even though you feel like you're on an island. It's not the case. So it's like, whatever you're dealing with right now, 50 other people are also dealing with. And that's why we're addressing it. So with that being the preface to the question, is like, what's 2 or 3 things that people can think about this time of year, this season, with what we've been seeing going on, to make sure that they are staying consistent, health and fitness wise?
So this just popped in my head. I think it's good to find a gym buddy, or just like something with your coach. But like, I want you to wake up and be like, or like the night before, like, hey, I'm excited for this. Like, are you going to be there? Are you going to be there? Like, get excited with a friend or a few friends, because that might pull you in a little bit more. Because it's as tired as you're going to be, or like whatever, that your friend will be like, get your shit together, we're going.
Yeah.
And it might not be like, if you can come during open gym, or you do an at-home workout, like get together, maybe you're like FaceTiming, but I think finding a friend to kind of like pull you guys in together to be motivated can be super helpful. I think prioritizing recovery can be helpful too. So like going to bed a little bit early, or like and I talk about this with nutrition clients, finding like a wind down routine. So like, I'm off my phone at this time, or like get blue light glasses if you are going to be. I'm very much on my phone and then I fall asleep, but I wear blue light glasses and I have my phone like toned down so it's not like bright in my face. Maybe you have like sleepy time tea, or you have like a period of stretching before you go to bed, or like you shower and you have like really warm water to kind of like, just, again, I don't know, something that's going to allow you to like calm down going to bed, instead of like doing all things and trying to fall asleep.
Yeah, 100%. I was going to say the shower thing. You said that. I actually do it before my workouts this time of year.
To get warmer?
Yeah. Like, if before,
I mean, that makes sense.
I'm coming in, or like if it gets cold out, like if I take a warm shower before I go to the gym. Courtney's always like, why are you showering before you go to the gym? Like, that doesn't make any sense. I go, it makes so much beautiful sense that you just don't even understand. And like, you just loosen up your body a little bit.
Yes, I agree. I shower before I come on Saturdays, because like I feel like I sweat different.
Yeah.
When I'm not showered.
Also,
but it does warm you up.
Here's another thing. If you don't want to get in a shower before you come to the gym, this is something that Zach does at 6:30, and I don't think anybody else has caught on. He walks through that door before 6:30 class at like 6:10, and he goes and sits in the sauna for 10 minutes.
Oh, that's smart. I like that. Yeah.
I looked at him and I go, it's easier to warm up, isn't it? He goes, so much better.
I love that.
And it's like, okay, if you don't want to get wet and get in the shower or whatnot, like, dude, we have the sauna here. Flip it on. It's usually warm.
Yeah.
Sit in it for 10 minutes and then go into your workout. And I guarantee you're going to feel so much looser, so much better going into that warm up.
Yeah, that's not going to if you're in there 10 minutes, you're not going to be drenched.
No.
There's no way.
Absolutely. You probably won't even start sweating, but I will tell you your muscles will be a little bit warmer.
Oh, yeah, your core temperature's already raised. That warm up's going to feel so much better.
Or
I love that idea.
I jack the heat up in the truck.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'd like the heated seat.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Any type of heat that could possibly come out of that, like it'll be 90 plus degrees in there, and then I'll walk in, I'll be like, all right, we're feeling good now. But yeah. But sleep, making sure you're taking care of yourself as much as you can, right? Because I get it. It's not easy some of the times. But when you can do it, understand, there's a little bit of a balance that you have to have. And when you start to feel yourself, hurting a little bit or getting stressed out or whatever it might be, like take a couple moments for yourself, do some self-care, because you definitely need it, and it's going to help you keep pushing forward through this time of season.
Yeah. And I think another one too would be coming in a little bit earlier. And like I love little like protocols. I love to give people stuff that they should do before workouts, because again, we can tailor the workout to you, but the warm up, unless you're injured, like not so much. Like I'm not going to be able to make sure that everything is going to be just for your shoulder if nobody else in class, like if it's a shoulder day, obviously, but like
Right.
not everybody's going to be able to do like my knee warm up because I got some old raggedy knees. Like I'm going to do that on my own because it's harder. Workout, easy. We can tailor it for everybody.
Right.
Warm up, not so much. So like, because the whole goal of a warm up, general warm up, is just to raise your core temperature, get your joints warmed up as a group. And if you need more specifics, take the 5 minutes to do other things. Like I see people come in, they move on the bike, or they come in, they use a band. Like maybe you're rolling out for a few minutes because that's what works. But like use that a little, wake up 5 minutes earlier and get in here. So that way you are able to, or like come in a little bit. I mean, I know work's tough, but trying to like really pay attention to like the things that your body needs.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, like, if circumstances present themselves where you can't do that, whatever it might be, it's like go back to what we talked about in the beginning and approach it with the mindset of your first 45 minutes of class are a slow trajectory up to the point of feeling loose and good and in preparation for your workout. What I mean by that is, like, if there's air squats in the warm-up and you know that your knees are a little bit junky, don't crash down into the very bottom position of your air squat 10 times in a row just because, like, that's what's on the board. But, like, slowly, progressively work your trajectory up to your body getting warm and loose. And that's another way to approach it if, whatever traffic or anything. Like, you can't get in here 5 minutes early. There's multiple ways to do it. So keep that in mind, too. Yeah,
the warm-up is a chance to check in and go, am I going to be able to do what I thought I was going to be able to do? And it might be a no that day because you were sitting at your desk all day and you're super stiff and you sat in the car and then you came right in. So take the time to, again, do that check-in and make sure, like, all right, maybe I'm squatting to a ball today because I just feel super tight, or I'm only lunging because I can't squat and it doesn't feel good.
Yeah. When you feel that tension, like, talk to us, because that's what we're here for. We're here to guide you through the shit that we've experienced in our own lives and that we do every day, and relieve some of that tension so that you can keep doing what makes you feel good.
Yeah. I think just do your best to, hopefully we can keep that 75%, maybe even creep it up a little bit more. And hopefully the back squat cycle will get people coming in. And I do intend on doing some other fun stuff throughout the end of the year. And then next year we have some really fun goals monthly. So
we have a really good game plan to kind of hit a lot of those aspects that we talked about from, I would love to see that over 80% committed club, making sure that we emphasize that a whole bunch. But then also these little things like the golf tournament that's coming up. Like, lifelong friends have been made at those things.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're not doing anything, you're like, oh, I don't know anybody, yada, yada, yada. It's like, dude, I get it. Just come. You're going to be grouped up with some awesome people. Maybe you make a friend, and maybe that changes your whole fitness journey for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
We'll have a couple other things coming up like that as well. So if my mom is golfing at that thing, trust me, you can golf. That should be interesting. All right, everybody. That is all we got for today. We will get at you on the next episode. And as always, if you have anything that you want us to discuss, let us know, and we will be happy to jump on an episode for that. Adios.
Bye.